You're listening to the Deep Dive Dealcast, the show that dissects every layer of real estate, from the dirt under the deal to the numbers behind the contract. With over 50 years of combined experience, your hosts bring you the truth behind the market shifts, the anatomy of good deals, and the landmines to avoid. Grab your notebook, you're in the right place. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. As always, it's Shay McGee and Judy Forden coming at you from the Deep Dive Dealcast. We're going to be looking into right sizing or downsizing, how to move forward for empty nesters, and the benefits of moving from that big house that you've had for a number of
Mhm.
years into something that may make more sense both physically and financially.
Right. Yes, you haven't experienced the beauty of being an empty nester, have you yet?
No, I'm two-thirds the way there, and I'm desperately clinging to my third. Be like, no, 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 no.
Trust me, when it happens, you'll be ready. But yeah, I know it is a tough trip to get there.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
So
good.
with that, empty nesting or, right sizing, as a lot of people call it, is an important step for a number of reasons. Now, there's also drawbacks to it, but let's jump into the drawback first.
Okay.
The biggest drawback that I have seen or heard from my clients is the time that you've had with your family in the house. It's hard to sell that and move forward, and a lot of people are a bit hesitant, and rightfully so, I get that, on selling the home that they raised their family in and had all those
hmm
memories.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the family itself, when they hear that, mom and grandma or whoever are selling, they're like, "Oh, but that's where we gather." It's our place. So it can be a very hard decision.
And it is. And that's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to do this is to paint the picture, both the positive and the negative. But really, that's the only negative that I've been able to come up with, or my clients, is that emotional hold to the home that you raised that family in and things like
hmm
that. But everything else is a whole lot of positives on why it could make a really good plan for you
Right.
and put you where you ultimately need to be during the later years of your life.
Yep.
So, first and foremost, Judy, I'll have you kick this off. Give me one of the great benefits.
Well, I think one of the benefits, just the real practical benefit, is the fact of you usually have a bigger home, right? You've got multiple rooms, multiple bathrooms, and there's maintenance that comes with that. So one of the beauties of downsizing, whether you're just getting a smaller house, a condo, a 55 plus, then you have something where you don't have all that time. Even if you have help coming in, it's a better cost to have the home maintained as far as the inside and the outside. So that's one of the biggest reasons I have heard people talk about wanting to downsize is it's just too much house. I don't want to have to. I've been doing this all my life, and I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to worry about it.
Exactly right. My family went from five people living in the house to two.
Yeah.
And even then, you can definitely feel the difference when it comes
hmm
to maintenance and
For
everything that
sure.
used to spread all the responsibilities out
Right.
to, boy, it's us. We got to get on this and get it
Right.
done. And I mean, with that, all those bedrooms and everything, it's nice to think about having a home for your family to come home to and spend those holidays. But realistically, that's probably costing you thousands of dollars
True.
for rooms that just aren't being used that you're paying for that you really don't need to.
That's right. Well, and to that subject, I had a client that did exactly what we're talking about, the downsize. And
Mhm.
instead of having the higher cost on the home that they had, they downsized and now they can travel because their family is spread out along the country. So now they go as a couple to the grandchildren, have that special time with them versus having people come to their house. It's changed their life quite a bit. They enjoy it.
Exactly right. And usually if you're in this space, most people are going to be retired or close to it,
Right.
and your kids and such are not. They're going to have to work and do things. So there's a lot of benefit and utility to go out and see them, see a new
hmm
place, while they can still work, but you can hang out and, stay with them. And I mean, financially as well, taking that big house where you're spending all of those thousands of dollars on and right sizing to something that is affordable, holds
Right.
your, family and the people still living there, but also have an extra bedroom for a hobby room or something. Most of the time that I've seen, people are paying off their mortgage, selling that and buying a house for cash or very close to it,
For sure.
which, either takes off your mortgage as a whole, and these days that's looking anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000 a month. Maybe not
For
always,
sure.
because you might have had it for a long time and a great rate, but taking all that money and putting that into travel, fun times, visiting, putting it into your retirement and just boosting that, because I mean, ultimately your home is, for most people, the very biggest investment for your long-term wealth and your retirement. So being to cash all that in, if you're still working, maybe not having to work, or just bolstering what you have coming in through investments and being
Right.
able to truly enjoy that time that you spent all those decades working for, and actually have it pay you to enjoy those years with family, going out and seeing new places, visiting, vacationing. I
Right.
think it's a wonderful thing. And honestly, again, you've worked for this for decades.
Yep.
It's probably time to treat you a little bit.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I've actually, like you said in the beginning, people are a lot of times sad about the sale of it, right? And the whole meaning of that. But once they get into it, boy, they wish they had either done it sooner or they didn't have as much reluctance. And it's really proves to be a good thing for them.
That's exactly what I've seen as well, is
Hmm.
people are worried about it at the moment, that when it's coming up to listing, when they're coming up to it, that's where I see that hesitancy. But
Yeah.
once they've done it, not a single person that I can think of wasn't remarkably glad to get into a space that is easy to maintain,
Hmm.
usually doesn't have the yard work requirements
Right.
outside, just something where they can really enjoy their time and not be constantly maintaining and beautifying.
Yep. Yep. It's time to start living, right? After
Time
all
to
the
start
work.
living.
That's right.
I look forward to that myself someday, someday,
Yep. It's starting to look good, isn't it?
right? Definitely. Being able to hang out and not have that, that stress of the
Hmm.
payment and everything, and just
Right.
relax, have fun, go see things.
Totally. Yep. So that's the big one, I think, is maintenance.
Mhm.
And then you and I had chatted earlier. What was the one you had brought up? What did you
One
ask
that I
about?
really like is single level living.
Yep.
Okay. When you're younger, stairs usually aren't a problem unless there's an injury. As you get older, even without an injury, stairs become more of a pain in the butt. And hauling things up, from, the basement and back and forth, heavy things becomes to be,
Hmm.
harder and harder. And there's nothing wrong with having a single level living home with a basement where you can store things,
Right.
and you only really need to use it for that purpose. But everything that you need day to day, like laundry, making 14 trips, up and down
Right.
those
Just
stairs,
to, yeah.
whereas a couple steps down the hall from the bedroom makes things a whole lot easier for you.
Hmm.
And I mean, people these days are in better shape in
Yes,
their 60s, 70s, and 80s than they
for
have
sure.
been in, other decades, other generations. But having that one floor main living just makes it a whole lot easier on joints and everything.
Yes. Yeah. So it's something to think about. And, a lot of people don't want to think about it because it
Mhm.
sounds depressing or it sound, we're admitting to the age and we don't want to wish that or wish on that's going to happen. But I've seen in the past where I've talked with sellers and or with a couple and they're like, oh, we're not ready, we're healthy, right? Well,
Right.
in a few years something might happen and then they have to. So when I'm consulting with a couple in their 50s, 60s, or 70s that are in really good shape, that's what I talk to them about. You're in great shape right now. Wouldn't it be great to get started now, move into something that you love because you want to, not
Mhm.
because you have to? Because I've had to move people when they have to, and it feels different. It just feels
It
different.
definitely
Yeah,
does. It feels like more of a chore, more of a have
right.
to. And the thought that, you are older and you got hurt puts an entire mental spin on that otherwise
Hmm.
you wouldn't have being proactive.
Right, right. So it's more of a positive spin than a
Mhm.
negative, like, oh, my hip or whatever, now I can't or I have to. So, um, and I think the thing to talk about with this main floor living too is really even more broad is, what type of a home do you want? Where do you want to go next? Do you want a single family home where you still have a yard that you maintain? Do you want a single family home that's in an association or a 55 plus where someone you take care of your inside, but then you pay an HOA to take care of your outside? Or do you completely eliminate all of that and you move into a condo? So there
Mhm.
are so many options that just need to be in the consultation when you're talking with an agent about where your next move is going to be.
Absolutely. I've been actually pretty surprised with the 55 and up communities that I've seen over the
They're
past,
amazing.
let's call it 15 years, because it seems like they took a massive jump from just strict utilitarianism to being a really nice home.
Community too.
Yeah, a community, and they take care of the lawn and all the shrubberies and everything for you, and you get to focus on living. They usually have a really nice clubhouse. Some of them have a pool to go and spend that time, and that's where a lot of the people that I have helped with right sizing have just made that adjustment to,
Hmm.
okay, my house isn't as big for entertaining, but now I can just use this clubhouse, usually at no cost, have my people in, do that. If it's summer, there's a pool, all this fun stuff.
Yeah.
You clean it up, of course, but then you can use it, but you're not paying for all of that meeting area all the time, other than your homeowners association fees, of course.
For sure. Yeah, I just listed one in Harriman. It sold like within 2 weeks, and
Nice.
their clubhouse has a theater. It has a full kitchen. It has a little workout room, right? It has a pool. It has all of the things that you would want. So if the grandkids come, or you can do the family that we're selling it for, they literally did their holiday parties at the clubhouse. It's that it's that beautiful and that inviting. So it really does encompass a lot of things. Yet when you drive through the neighborhood, it just looks like it, they have changed over the
Mhm.
years.
And realistically, I've been in some of these clubhouses with 55 and older
Hmm.
communities, and the clubhouse is likely more space than you would have had in that big house and laid out in a way that's a
For
whole
sure.
lot better for get-togethers and parties because you
Hmm.
have everybody in there. There's lots of room to go around, and they're actually really, really nice. I've been impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's lots of options. Some people choose the condo living. That way they have absolutely nothing. It's turnkey. They go in, they go out. All they have to worry about is the inside of their four walls, and that's a good option for quite a few people. And then you're getting rid of or eliminating some of all of the baggage, so to speak,
Mhm.
and just really keeping a simple living, because it's different when you're just one person or two people now versus the whole family. There's a whole different concept to it. So
Without a doubt. And it's been really nice. But I guess the point is there are a lot of options.
there
There's a
are.
lot of options out there. At one point, it did seem to be really restrictive. Like if you moved, there was this one mental image of a 55 and older complex that was
Mm-hmm.
enough room to survive, but
Right.
nothing else. And there are a lot of options from, a single level living home with a basement to, a single level living home with a slab or a
Right.
condominium or an HOA,
Yep.
55 and up community. They're all good options based on what your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot more to choose from than there used to be for sure.
Right. And again, it depends on your lifestyle. I'm just thinking of another client that I have. She's going to sell her larger home here in Salt Lake, buy a condo, and then she's has a house down in St. George. So now she's got kids here in Salt Lake, she has kids down in St. George, and now she can more affordably do both because she's going to sell the big house, get a smaller condo, and she can accommodate both, both children that live in different areas. So there's just so many variables.
Right. And we didn't even get into location.
No.
Going to the right location because your
Right.
kids aren't at the school close by or
Right.
anything like that. There's a lot, especially if your children have moved abroad,
Yep.
moving to be closer to them if they're all in one spot and finding, a community or a city that fits your needs a little bit more. We see a lot of people moving to St. George and that area
For
because
warmth.
the snow, the warmth, the very mild, if not, unrecognizable winters out there.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, California, Texas, things like that.
Yep.
So there's a lot to be said for location as well.
Yep. Yeah, and one of the things I do when I am doing the consultation with these sellers, buyers, is I really want to assure them that we should take the time, right? Because they might not know exactly where or what, right? Do you want to live by this kid or that kid? Do you want to live here? Do you want to live there? And it might change mid process.
And it often
So
does.
it often does because it's a new territory and it's a
Mhm.
completely different territory. So just know that your agent should expect that, be okay with it, and don't be afraid or shy about expressing, we were doing this and now we really think we should be doing that.
Right. And
Talk
that's
that through
okay.
because it's a whole change.
I would imagine that, empty nesters and right sizing is probably more in depth. Well, in my experience, it's been more in depth with the conversations that we have, getting
Hmm.
up to it and setting realistic expectations and going through that fact finding
Right.
because it's a big change. It's up there with first time home buyers. First time home buyers, of course,
It
have a
is.
lot of questions,
Yeah.
but right sizers do well. When you're just
Hmm.
moving up, there's usually not because you've kind of already got this going. But these are two parts of your life where you're making a big substantial change, and it's okay to change
Yeah,
your mind.
it
And it's
is.
okay to look at different options and, talk about, all right, I'd like to look at some things in St. George. I'd also like to look at some things in Florida. I'd like to look at some things here just to find out where that ultimately, makes your life fit. But taking the time to do that right is
Yeah.
important, as well as there's one thing that I would definitely stress above first time home buyers is make sure you talk to your tax professional. Okay. This
100%.
is very important because at this point, you've probably got a really good amount of equity if your house isn't paid off. And I'm not a tax professional,
Mhm.
so nor can I answer those questions. But talk to them and find out what it's going to look like to avoid any nasty surprises. But with your everyday team, which is, us as your agent, a lender, if one even needs to exist, it may not, your title, but I would also have a tax professional along
100%.
there to make the best possible decision for you. Because again, this is most likely a big chunk of your retirement. And we want to make sure that we treat that as well as we can moving forward to take care of you.
That's right. There's no doubt about it. And the other thing I was thinking about with that as well is especially if I have a empty nester and it's a single woman, single man, I like to get the children involved. One, I want them to feel coming from a family who, like when my parents got older, right? I want the children to feel secure that me as the agent, I'm working on behalf of their parent with their best interest, because
Sure.
obviously there's always that worry you're making mom move or you're making dad do this. So if it's a couple, I don't do it so much, but especially if it's a single man or woman, I do like to get the family involved just because most likely they're going to get brought in at some point. So let's
Sure, and they're
start this out at
protecting mom or dad. And that's a very
absolutely.
honorable thing. That's what they should be doing. Absolutely.
Exactly. So I like to do that. I like to have that openness and the support, because
Mhm.
sometimes, especially with the singles, they will get very nervous during the process. So having the kids involved and having them knowing what we've been talking about has really supported the parents on making that next move.
Right.
Yeah,
And on the topic of children, one thing that I've seen a few times is people are actually somewhat motivated to downsize when their children are old enough to buy homes, and
true,
some have sold their homes and cashed out a lot of this equity and given a gift to their children as a down payment for their
for
home
sure.
because they're right sizing while you're helping, your son or your daughter buy a home. I've seen a lot of that lately
That's
too,
true.
and it's been, I mean, kind of nice. It's good for them, but it's also good for the kids. And
Yes,
I've seen it, strengthen that bond that is already there, which
right.
is pretty wonderful. Again, talks to tax people about it, but I
Yep.
think that's one of the one of the coolest, most like heartwarming things that I've seen, empty nesting and, right sizing, but also helping, their child with, $25,000 on a down payment to help them
Because now they
start
have it.
way.
Hmm.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many variables, so many great things that can happen with this. And I know you and I talk about this all the time. Selling real estate for you and I isn't just about selling real estate and the transaction. It is seeing putting the next step of people's lives together and seeing their life get better because
Mhm.
they're making these choices and helping them through the process. So if this is something you're considering, make sure you have an agent that is talking you through the process, um, asking you the questions of what we've just gone through, because they need to know what's important to you so that they can help you accomplish what you want, not what they think you might want.
Exactly. And I mean, if you're talking to an agent that is looking at a transaction and counting out commission checks, that they might very well be able to get it done, but their heart's not in the right place.
Yep,
Make sure you have an agent that truly cares about you, your long-term well-being,
that's right.
and wants you to succeed personally and financially. Because I can speak for both of us is in that the emotional aspect of this is by far the best compensation that we get. Watching
For sure.
someone fulfill that dream, get what they want, and knowing deep down that you've done your client a true service and you've watched out for them,
Yes.
finding pitfalls to avoid and setting them down the right path is
Yes.
remarkably rewarding, more so than any paycheck. It's wonderful to see those people smile and succeed.
Oh, for sure. And I've honestly helped people decide not to do this
Mhm.
because it wasn't right for them. And that's okay. It's part of the consultation. Let's figure out, is this going to be the best for you and your family?
Better than okay. That is what
Yeah.
you ultimately want. Someone that is going to be that speed bump moment of, I know you want to go down this route, but this may not be the best for you,
Right.
especially, when we're right sizing, because this is probably one of the last choices in real estate they're going to make.
Hmm.
You need to make sure that you're making the right choice to set you up because there's not a whole lot of time
Right.
for really nasty setbacks.
That's right. Yep.
And sometimes no is the best answer. We can't tell you no, but we can say, hey, here are possible, you know, detrimental parts of this. Let's
Hmm.
sit down, chew it up, get really deep on this and
Yep.
figure out if it's truly where we want to be.
Right. So, and all those options are okay. They're
Mhm.
just, yep, figure out which one it is. And I try to, when I go into it, I think of, well, now I think about it as myself because I'm one of the empty nesters. But I
Yes.
always, I always thought about it. How would I want my family? How would I want my parents to be treated if there
Mhm.
was an agent helping them with this scenario?
Exactly. Do they have, the right, I won't say hand holding, but that white glove concierge, like taking the time to really dig down, find the options, explain them thoroughly,
Yep,
make sure to meet someone where they are, and help them make a comfortable and confident decision on what they want to do. It's remarkably important.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's what I have for 55 plus. I mean, there's a few other little things, but we wanted to mention a little bit about a reverse mortgage. Shay and I are both, they've changed over the years. They can be good, but they can be a little tricky. So that is something that sometimes the empty nesters are thinking about. We'll leave that for another time, or maybe we'll leave that for a lender. How's that?
That's the answer right there. They have their place just like everything else, but honestly, if you're thinking about this, let's sit down, talk, really get into the weeds on this, drill down on each of the possibilities on whichever route we may want to take,
Mhm.
so you can truly make an informed decision on what is going to take you from the spot that you're in to the
Right.
spot that you ultimately want to be, because we can do that. It's not a quick 5-minute conversation.
No.
We're going to dig down a little bit and get real with you about, okay, here's what we can do down path A, B, C, and D. Here's the good, here's the bad,
Yep.
here's the potentially ugly. What is it that we want to do? But like you said, we both look at it like, how would I want my mom or dad treated? How would I want someone to answer their questions and be there for them, especially when that fear of uncertainty comes in,
For
to make
sure.
sure that no one's feeling pressured or haggard or anything like that into making a decision, but giving them all of the information necessary,
Right.
walking them through until it is that truly confident decision.
100%. That's what it should be like, whether it's 55 plus or empty nesters or new first time home buyers. But on this subject, it's just it, it's an exciting time for people, and we just want to make sure you're being guided in the direction that
Exactly.
helps you to be able to enjoy it once it happens.
It's a very exciting time as long as you have the information and a true partner
Hmm.
helping you move forward.
That's right.
So I think that's pretty much what we have to cover. There's always a million little
Yep.
nuanced
Nuances.
things,
Yeah.
but we would really want to find out where you are in your journey to really dig down there and give you the right
Hmm.
answers, not the quick answers. So if you know anybody or if you yourself are considering this, give us a call, write us, a, a message on here and let us know. We're happy to dig down. We're happy to make the time
Yep.
to get down with you one on one and make sure it's a good fit.
That's right. Yeah, we're happy to do consultations whether they move forward or not. Like we said, this it's really just to give you your family, your friend, the idea of what they want to do next.
Exactly. And I'd rather tell you that it's not a great idea
Yeah,
knowing that I took true care of you, caring about what you're looking to do,
right.
than force you into anything.
For sure.
So, like I said, if you know anybody looking to do this, please share and comment with any questions or reach out to us. We're happy to help, and we will see you next week.
Have a great week.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Deep Dive Dealcast. If you found value today, hit subscribe and share the episode with someone who's ready to think deeper about deals. We'll be back next week with another deep dive.